Welcome to another edition of Coffee with the Candidates. We have Dave Spencer with us here today. He is a candidate for the City Commission in the April 8th election here in Yankton. Welcome.
Thank you. Yep, nice to be here.
Well, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewing audience?
Yeah, as you said, I'm Dave Spencer. I've been a Yankton resident now it'll be 31 years this summer. So never really thought this would be our home because we moved around quite a bit early in our marriage, probably the first 9 years. Came here in 1994, and we're still here, Nancy. So it's become home for us, and really we've had opportunities to leave, or my job had changed. We could have left, but we were able to make arrangements that I could stay here with those jobs and maybe change a few things with them, but was able to stay in Yankton, which we've been happy to do. So it's been a lot of fun living here, and I'm quite proud to live here in Yankton and look forward to this opportunity.
Well, we need to find more people like you that make their career choices so they can stay in Yankton.
I was one of the first people who would work from home, okay? So we could prove you could do it from anywhere, so yeah.
Perfect. So what sets you apart from the other candidates? And before you answer that question, I want to let people know we are recording this on Friday, February 21st. So all of the candidates have not turned their petitions in yet. But really, what makes you a unique candidate?
I'd say my business experience combined with my community experience here in Yankton. Professional roles. Currently, I'm a assistant business professor at Mount Marty University. Not trained as an educator, but I retired after 38 years of being in business with various roles of sales, marketing, management, dabbled in some finance. Really a well-rounded business career with a lot of different hats I would wear over at the time. But I also think that in my 31 years here, the involvement in the community, I've just always been involved wherever we lived, whether it was on the East Coast, we lived there for a while, whether it was coaching our youth, our children in sports, to getting involved with their activities, to service clubs things, whatever duty call. I guess my wife and I just kind of both grew up that way with parents, and I thought that's a good example for children to follow, and see that when you raise kids as well. So I think it was just a good example there. But I think just being involved and knowing a lot of connections, was involved with a really big project building the ice rink here in town. And people was like, how did you know how to do this or do that? And I was just, I don't know, just remember people and contacted people, and people had specialties, and just knowing. And if I don't know somebody, then maybe I know somebody who knows somebody. So we'll try to manage it that way. And so I think that, and in my working time too, Nancy, I traveled out of town for most of my career. So I would travel to Midwest, good part of the country at times, and I would see what goes on in other communities. And I bring home ideas like, why don't we do that in Yankton? Or maybe we could try something like this. And, able to see the best of things in other communities, and maybe that would be something we could apply here in Yankton. So always kind of looking for to make the community better. And I guess I just think I'm pretty heavily invested in the community to see that through.
Yeah, and I have been the recipient of some of those emails. Hey, Norfolk is doing this. Have you taken a look at this in Yankton? So
yeah,
it's always nice to have you share those ideas. So in your opinion, what is the role of a city commissioner?
Yeah, I think, obviously you're representing the people of the community. And, I'm going to call them the stockholders or stakeholders, whichever you want to call them. And I think of a city commission similar to companies I've worked for that have had board of directors that ultimately are responsible for those people and taking care of their business, and the city is their business. If you think about that, they live here, they work here, they spend money here, they earn money here, and I think that's just being a responsible leader to lead. One, to listen. People are going to always, I've always heard in all my jobs, I've always heard the stories, the stories that are out there. And I've always learned over time there's always two sides of the story, or the rest of the story, as old novelist or journalist Paul Harvey would say. What is the rest of the story, and where do we end up in the middle, somewhere, somewhere where that story is at? And so I think being able to represent people, and then also be able to explain to people, here is the rest of that story, because sometimes I think that's probably necessary. And so stay visible in the community. I don't think that's an issue. I mean, again, for all my career, I mostly left town every day, but now that I'm in Mount Marty, I'm here every day. So that's a little bit different, an adjustment that I've had for the last year and a half, but I've enjoyed that, and I enjoy being engaged with the community. So I think those things would help me be a good commissioner for the people.
So the city is working on updating a comprehensive plan. Do you have any thoughts on the plan and what should be included?
I think it was 2002, if I'm correct on the last comprehensive plan. So it's over 20 years old, if I'm correct on that. And it was fun to go back. It's kind of fun to go back and look at plans. And if you think about it, of course, being in business, we always have a plan. I mean, you got to have a plan to get moving forward. And sometimes things change in that plan. I think at a good business or in a city commission setting or whatever, being flexible and adaptable is something I've always preached in the business world because just things change. But it was fun to go back and look at that comprehensive plan as I prepared for this a little bit, and to see the things that have improved, the things that actually did get done in the last 20 plus years, the vision that was painted by the committee that put that together. And some things haven't gotten, and that's with the plans. Then things get done, some things don't. You continue to work, you kind of push things maybe down the road a little bit if you have to. It just depends on your situation. And you never know with the economy. We've gone through some crazy times the last 20 years. We've had the boom and bust of 2008, 9, 10 was tough, for a lot of people. Then we went through growth, and we've had the COVID thing, and we've had floods in northeast Nebraska, southeast South Dakota. We've had just one thing after another, it seemed like. And so I think it's good to have that plan in place because it kind of keeps you on track and just says, have things changed? Do we need to reevaluate things, or do we need to keep trying to push forward that, or maybe we push that out a little further? That might be okay at this time, but I think it allows you to stay on track a little bit but leave room for adjustments as you go. I think that's really important with a plan.
Yeah, I think the city of Yankton is very proud of being able to say that they actually follow their plan. We've all been a part of groups that create strategic plans and then it gets put on a bookshelf and not used. But having been to a lot of city commission meetings over the last 10 to 20 years, you can see where that comes into play. So as you're saying, kind of a roadmap of showing where we can go. It doesn't mean that's where we have to go,
Yeah.
But it really does help guide commissioners and staff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've seen in the business world too. A lot of people would we call it strategic planning a lot of times at a business, and then as you said, it does get put on a shelf, and like, oh, maybe once a year we should look at that. Well, maybe a little more often that just as a guide, to keep us on track.
So setting the city budget and establishing priorities is an important component of being a city commissioner. How will you navigate that process, and what are some of your priorities in the budget?
Well, I think the biggest thing would be is to live within your means. I think you pretty much have to at the local level with budgets. I would use those words again, flexible and adaptable at times on budgets. I've had to do that in the business world where maybe you planned on one thing and something else came up, or it's another opportunity that we didn't really have. Not a problem, but an opportunity. Can we jump on something here? That might mean something else gets put off for a year because there's only so many dollars to go around. I get that. I think that would be a responsible part for the budget is to obviously try to live within it and ask questions. I think that's on the behalf of the taxpayer to ask management what are some of these things and why and explain more if needed to be or whatever. I guess justify some of the things we have to do, and just try to continue to keep the taxpayer in mind because there are signs of the economy. There's a lot of ups and downs of the economy right now, and I think we'll have to just be careful. Conservative by nature, I think fiscally myself, but also progressive enough that let's keep pushing the ball forward and invest in the future for something that would pay back in the future. So, able to see both sides of that equation, Nancy, I think would be important in a budget discussion.
So the Meridian Bridge is an iconic and unique asset to Yankton. What process would you propose or support regarding long-term plans for the bridge that might include repair, removal, and how are we going to fund that?
Yeah, great question. That when the bridge all came together, I was like right away saying, well, we should just probably knock that down and just be done with it. That's my first thoughts. And now I'm at the other total opposite end of that equation. I love the bridge. It's a great amenity to the community. And so I would encourage us to find every possible way. And I know there's probably engineering structures evaluations need to be done. All kinds of things have to be done before you can make a decision where that needs to go. And I don't know. I mean, the city owns it now. If there was ever a bigger problem, could it be turned back to the state had it at one time? Now we've got it. Does it go back to the state someday if bigger things have to happen? It would be a huge budget item, I'm sure, but I would think if we could do everything we could. I think bridges like in Europe, they last forever. Can we make this one last at least kind of close to forever? Could we get it to my goal would try to be able to keep it. But I understand maybe some things could be impossible. If we do, then we need to work with the agencies that would work with us on that as a city and there's probably more there that I don't know but could learn about. But I would keep an open mind on trying to do everything we could do to keep it, just because it's so unique. It's so unique to our community, and to tell people, visitors, hey, have you gone across the bridge? Oh, can you go on both levels? I'm like, yeah, you can go up and do both those things. And they just, oh, I just love, the out of towners love it. I love it myself, riding my bike across or walking across any time of the year too. It's beautiful 4 times, all 4 seasons of the year. So I think if we could try to keep it, it'd be great. But I know that realities might say something different down the road. Then I think we just have to deal with that, and then look at numbers to say what can happen. What are the possibilities here, and what option? I love options. If there's more than one option, then let's see what those are, and then we can make a decision.
So what are your 3 favorite things about Yankton?
Yeah, great. I love, you know what, Nancy, I love the people of Yankton. Yankton is a very friendly town. We moved here 31 years ago and lived in some other places, all from the East Coast to the Midwest, and just Yankton is very welcoming. And some people might not say that, or they may not believe it or see it. I've always been told, like, if you ever want to go find out about a community, go to the community, go sit in a restaurant and ask somebody in town, what's this town like? And I would hope people would say that Yankton is, and I say about the people, I like the people because it's a very giving town. When I say people and giving, very philanthropic town. We've had so many projects over the years to help people out, whatever the cause would be. And a lot of people open their pocketbooks, checkbooks to do that. Others open up their time checkbook, meaning I got time and I will dedicate a lot of time to make things happen like that. And so I think that's a really important place that people can like living here. It is a good place to live. We've raised our family here and we chose to do that. Another thing that I tell people is that Yankton is a clean town. You look around and go to other cities, and so that's why I was able to do that in my job. I'd go to other towns and I'd notice things, and people, we take care of picking up litter and trash and keep things looking nice. I think that's a nice thing for Yankton. I think it's important to look that way because we get a lot of visitors in town, and you want to look good for visitors. I mean, I always say a visitor might, hey, maybe I'm going to move here. Maybe I'm going to pick up my business and I can move. I can live anywhere. And there's a lot of advantages to living in South Dakota. Let's face it, for businesses. Maybe Yankton would be the spot to come to. So I think that's the second thing I think is really nice. And the one is just the amenities we have here. I think of the beauty, the Missouri River, the hills, the trees we have in the area. One of our jobs was to move to Wisconsin, and it was a really hard decision if we were going to do it. And it was funny because it was southern Wisconsin, and you'd be amazed the similarities between southern Wisconsin. It's beautiful in Wisconsin. Well, we got the same thing here in Yankton, South Dakota. It was the same thing, and so just the landscape and the terrain and just the setting we have here. So between those three, the people, we got a clean town. I'm going to add a little bit of 3.5. I think we're a progressive town too, and I think that's good that we're not afraid to try new ideas here and always trying to make improvements.
And we did a survey through our office, and the community being a clean community was one of the top comments that we had written in by people. And that's one of the things I had not looked at Yankton from that lens of, my gosh, we are a really clean community. And a lot of that is because of city staff and the other nonprofits that work together to help keep our community clean.
Yeah, I think people take pride in that, and if you take pride in your community, just like you take pride in your home or wherever your business, then you're gonna take an extra effort to make it continue to look that way, and I think that's important.
So the library has been a topic recently regarding the need for expansion. Share with us your thoughts on the library.
Took my kids a lot to the library when they were young, and they're obviously grown adults, and now they have children. And so just 2 weeks ago, took my 3 grandkids that live here in town. Guess where we went on Saturday? Went to the library because they like going there too. And they got a lot more fun stuff to do there than we did 25 years ago. They got all kinds of fun stuff in there to do and play, basically. Is what we did. But we brought books home too. So I like the location of the library currently, Nancy. I like the area it serves and the walking distance for a lot of people to get there. I would look at every opportunity, again, architecturally. What ways could we expand there? Would that mean digging into that parking lot to the south? One of our sons lives in Manhattan, Kansas. I looked at their library. I could tell where they put an addition on, and they went up a couple of flights. They have a second and third floor. And up there they have offices and conference rooms and some other stuff, and keep more of the visitor space on that main level where they expanded too. I'm not an architect, but I'd love to pick the brain of one, and I've helped build buildings and ask questions of that kind of thing. What else could we do that were there? So if we could exhaust all those options downtown where we're at today, uh, that's where I would land on that today.
So relationships and collaboration are important within the community. What role can you play as a commissioner to help build, maintain, or repair relationships?
I think just my opening comments being here 31 years and getting along. I've been a salesperson a lot of my career. That's kind of just how you to have success in sales. You got to get along with a lot of different personalities, and we all got different personalities. So that's just that's just Mother Nature with us, or human nature with us as we act and behave. And so I think with the connections I've had with the various ton of volunteer projects I've been involved in the community, different associations, different volunteer groups, service groups. I think that goes a long way in building some credibility with people and having a kind of a calm voice with some of the things that maybe people get riled up, because not always does everybody get along. I get that. I mean, saw that in a young man in college, when the fraternity house was 60 guys, that they didn't all get along, Nancy, but you had to learn to get along. And I think you have to do that. We're in a size of community where I think that's important, because we're not super small, we're not obviously super big, and everybody knows a lot of people. If you're involved at any level here in Yankton, you're going to know people, and I guess it's important to continue to know those people and foster those relationships. And yeah, if you need to amend some things, it's kind of what I've taught in business and taught today is sometimes if you're wrong, it's okay to admit you're wrong. I've worked with people that have a tough time admitting. Nobody likes to say I'm wrong, but if I am, I'll apologize, and I hope we can move on, and no hard feelings, and just try to be positive through those situations. And I think positivity breeds positivity. At the same time, negativity can breed negativity. And so if we could take we all have choices every day. So if we could take the positive route and try to take the high road on things, I think the relationships and building upon those. And it's fun when you get those relationships and the respect level between people, because you'll get more help from people. Like, I can help do that. And it's amazing. It's amazing the power of a volunteer, the heart of a volunteer. That's amazing. And you develop those relationships. And so I think you have to work at it, and you have to be positive at it, and just keep working and get through the issues and find common ground and build from there, and continue to move forward and keep people involved.
So if you could change something in Yankton today, what would that be?
It'd probably be, and I'll explain a little bit further, the amount of retail. And there's some positive things happening, with Matt Evans in the mall. That's wonderful news that there's some retail. We moved here 31 years ago, Nancy. The mall was, boy, it was darn near full. It was very active, really impressive. First town this size. And then we all know what happened, the internet, and, no more brick and mortar, COVID, and things I think we struggled a little bit. And if I could change one thing is to keep our tax dollars here at home as much as we can. Because one, we need to support our local vendors, our local suppliers, and we need to keep those tax dollars here. And it does hurt me when I hear people say they go and not that we don't ever buy a thing out of town, we'll do that too, but constantly going to the big box merchandisers in Sioux City or Sioux Falls or wherever they might be going. Yeah, sometimes we might have to pay a little bit more here, but is it worth it? I mean, you won't miss a business until it's gone. And so why jeopardize it? Support what you have here. And so I think retail, develop, continue, maybe some new retail's coming back a little bit. I think the shopping experience is coming back for some people. And I it's just not all online. I mean, it's going to be part of the mix too, but I think having that would be, a really good thing for us to have here. Trying to think what else that would change in Yankton. Pretty much, I think, just keep a positive attitude. And not that we don't have it, we have that, but I want to continue to grow the positive attitude and moving things forward, because it's a competitive world out there, right? We do compete with Sioux Falls and Sioux City or Norfolk, or you pick the city, Omaha, Twin Cities, that, we did there in 5 hours, we're going to compete with Kansas City. Well, how do we compete with that and continue to draw people here and continue to have just a nice growth in the city, but I've seen some towns grow crazy fast too, and then they have a lot of struggles with infrastructure and things of that nature. I think affordable housing is something that obviously Thrive has worked very closely with City of Yankton and developing affordable housing. I think we need to continue to do that, and how you define affordable is kind of a crazy question sometimes, but and I think I applaud the efforts that have been done in the past to take a proactive approach on that. Just need to continue to make that happen, and just uncover every rock you can to make some things happen, and work with the private public sector and get some development going. Really excited what's going on down by the river. I'd like to see that continue, and then the other housing developments that are underway or are going to be underway, I think will be very positive. And so I'd like to continue to see that. It's not really a change, Nancy, but I'd like to see us continue to uncover that as we could everywhere we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything you want to include in this interview today that was not a part of a previously asked question?
I would say that I guess I considered this candidacy pretty seriously. I've been asked before to consider this, and if not done it. What's different this time? The fact that I have a job here in town, that I'm here now during the day, I think that helps a lot. I've always had it's kind of an old Boy Scout, or kids were in Scouts, find a place better than when you leave it, leave it better than you found it. And I think Yankton's made a ton. It was funny when we moved here and we lived in a different town in South Dakota, people were like, "You're going to Yankton?" And I kind of look at like, "Well, yeah, what's wrong with Yankton?" "Wow, it's not very nice." I said, "This is 31 years ago." I said, "Well, have you been there lately?" I said, "It's really nice." I said, "I really like that. It looks like well, no, I haven't been there in 40 years. Oh my gosh, well, maybe things changed. And I think if we could continue to leave that as a legacy, I mean, I've got a daughter and her husband and 3 kids that live here. So I think they'll stay here for maybe a long time. And so why not leave it better for them too? So I think if anything I would express is that I would always work towards the goal of making improvements, even the little slight improvements. Just a little comment about, hey, things are clean around here. Yeah, we take pride and pick up a water bottle we see sitting on the curbside somewhere. Just spreading that enthusiasm and that love for the community. It's something that I love, and so I would add that if you be fortunate enough to be selected to be on the commission, that would always be top priority for me, as to how do you make things better. And I know things could get tough every now and then, but that's business. Things happen, and you have to deal through it. Mother Nature's dealt us several things in this community. Nothing I don't think we could overcome. Thank goodness we haven't had some things like some communities have had. Pray those on. I mean, those we wish that on anybody. But if it does, you know what? I have confidence and full faith Yankton would figure a way to fix whatever they got to fix, because it's a can-do city, and we need to keep that attitude going for the future and the future generations to come after us.
Well, Dave, thank you for joining us here today, and we encourage everyone to get out and vote early or on Election Day, April 8th. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for